rents in Singapore have been going to the moon. In just 1 year, condominium rents have risen 34.4% year-over-year, while HDB rents went up by 28.5%. Take note, that's just the average year. For some areas like Sembawang and Yishun, rents have risen by more than 40% to even 50% over the past year. Though, to be fair, this is not just happening in Singapore. It's also happening in many big cities like New York, London, and Lisbon. But guess what? Singapore is placed right at the top for highest prime rental growth, right beside New York. I guess at least the good news is Singapore is #1 again. In fact, rents in Singapore are actually catching up to Hong Kong, the country that's well known for their super expensive property and rent prices. So much so that even expats are now wanting to move back to Hong Kong to escape the high rental prices in Singapore. They'd be like, "Zao ah!" So in this video, we will find out what is actually causing rents in Singapore to go to the moon, how much more can it go up, and more importantly, how you can deal with this if you are renting a place to stay. Alright, let's start right now. So, how did this whole high rental happen in the first place? Basically, there was a perfect storm of events which all happened at once. And the first reason is of course, the pandemic. When this whole pandemic happened, there were shutdowns everywhere that led to shortages in manpower and raw materials, which caused 6 to 12 months delay in construction projects. When there's delay and your house is not completed, you still have to find somewhere to stay, right? So people started to rent houses to stay temporarily. That's why rents started to go up in 2020. Besides that, there were also not many private properties being completed around that period. Add in the delays and even more people opting to rent, there was even more upward pressure on rent prices. Second, the resale market was getting super lucrative. Many HDB flats reached the minimum occupation period around 2019 to 2021. Then the owners are free to either rent out the flats or sell them. But in the end, more people decided to sell instead of renting out because there was a high demand for resale flats due to all the construction delay that's going on. That caused HDB resale prices to start going up, which is also why we have been seeing more and more $1 million HDB appearing over the past 2 to 3 years. And with more people opting to sell their property instead of renting out, there was less supply in the rental market, which further added to the rising rents. Next, because the HDB resale market has been heating up, in 2022, the government introduced new cooling measures. One of them required private property owners to wait for 15 months before they can buy an HDB resale flat. The government be like, "You sold your condo and want to buy HDB? You wait long ah." Many condo home sellers were frustrated with the move. They be like, 15 months? Stay where ah? And the answer is of course, rent a place to stay lor. Besides that, as the COVID-19 situation improved, Singapore started to slowly open back up. And all the foreigners be like, "Chiong ah!" and came to Singapore to work and to study. And again, that led to higher demand in the rental market. Meanwhile, there's a growing trend of young adults under 35 who wish to move out from their parents' home. They be like, "I big boy already, I want to move out." Between 1990 and 2020, this number has risen from 33,000 to over 51,000. But it grew especially during the pandemic period, as due to all the work from home going on, more and more millennials wanted to move out of their parents' home to look for privacy and better work from home conditions. A recent property guru survey found that 77% of respondents aged 22 to 39 are planning to move out of their parents' homes. So, with all these factors, that's why the rents in Singapore have been going to the moon. Quick pause, whether you are buying, selling, or just finding a place to rent, it would be a super time-consuming and tedious work to do it all by yourself. That's where you could enlist the help of Own My Home, where they have a team of professional in-house agents to help you do all the research, viewings, paperwork, and negotiation, so that you can save a ton of time, effort, and even money. With each agent closing an average of 11 times more deals compared to the industry's average, it's not hard to see why Own My Home is the most highly rated agency on both Google reviews and Facebook. So if you're looking for some help, you can use my link down below to book a call with them to find out more. With that being said, let's get back to the video. And that brings us to the next question. Will rents continue to rise fast and furious? The good news is that rental growth is expected to slow down this year. So it's no longer like to the moon kind of growth like what we saw last year. The bad news, rents in Singapore are still expected to climb another 10 to 15% this year. Here's why. First, there will be a lot more condos expected to be completed this year as compared to last year. So more supply coming into the rental market means that rents should come down, right? Not really. That's because about 3/4 of them are not located in prime areas, and homes outside prime areas are usually purchased for living in instead of being rented out. But even if they were to be rented out, because it's a new home, it will have a higher rent than older homes. So that will not help ease the rent situation, but instead make it worse. Second, there will be less HDBs that will MOP this year. So there won't be much supply coming from the resale market. Third, with Singapore's economy recovering, low unemployment rates, and the rise in median income, except for fresh grad art students, the rental market will remain strong this year. Though, the good news is that as some companies are planning to slow down hiring, we would be seeing less foreigners coming into Singapore this year, and that could help alleviate rental demands by a little. Fourth, interest rates are expected to go up even more this year, which means that landlords are most likely going to raise rents again to cover their costs. And even if all these factors go away in the future, rents won't really come back down. As Stat Homes has shown here, rents also shot up quickly back in 2007 to 2008. But after the situation cooled down, rents barely came back down. And after a while, they continued to go up even more. So if you are someone who is renting a home now, GG lor, with rents shooting up and renters competing with each other to find cheaper rents, I can only imagine how stressful it is now to be a renter. But here are 2 tips on what you can do if you are in this situation. First, I'm sure most of you know this already. Rather than opting to stay at popular areas, you could try searching at slightly less popular or ulu places. Check out this chart by dollars and cents. You can see that for places like Bishan, Bukit Merah and Clementi, the rents are like over 3,000 for a 4-room flat. But if you go for less popular places like Bukit Batok, Choa Chu Kang or Pasir Ris, you might be able to find cheaper rents there. Besides that, rather than staying near MRT stations, you could stay a little further away for cheaper rents. Also, try negotiating for a lower rent. But don't just anyhow say a number, yeah. Do your homework first by checking out rates around the area and be aware of recent rental news and trends to ensure that your offer is good, yeah. Second, use services like CardUp or iPayMy to pay your rent. Basically, these services let you make your payment using credit cards and earn some cashbacks or miles along the way. Though, of course, you have to pay a 1.79% fee for the service. But as long as your card is giving a much higher reward than the fee, it will be worth it. A good card to use is the Maybank Platinum Visa card, which gives 3.33% cashback if you can spend $300 for each month each quarter. So let's say if your rent costs $1,500 a month, after deducting the 1.79% fee, you will still earn a good $6.15 cashback every month. It ain't much, but it's still better than earning nothing, yeah? So if you are renting a house, you can sign up for services like CardUp and iPayMy. Sign up link down below, yeah? Anyway, that's all for this video. Hopefully you find it useful. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.